Welcome back, everybody. Along with Mike St. Green, I'm Cameron Irvine. This is SFL This Week, and we are back to break down week one of the SFL season 24. It's been a pretty good weekend, and we got a great doubleheader tonight for you all. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, Cam, man. It's great to be back for another season of Monday Night Spectaculars, and as you mentioned, man, it was a great weekend to start the season off, and looking forward to the two games tonight to close out this fantastic opening week.
It's cold in Indianapolis tonight. Kickoff 19 degrees, feels like 1. And they're even saying, Mike, that could Houston get some snow coming up in a few days? No way, right?
I don't think so, Cam. I mean, it's cold far as Houston standards go, but it's going to be hovering around the low 40s and high 30s. So I don't think we're going to get close. It's going to get really cold overnight tonight, but no winter precipitation in the forecast, as they may say.
That's cold for us Southern boys, but all the Northerners are probably making fun of us pretty easily. Well, we had a great start to the week. We got things kicked off on opening night. Mexico City took down Minnesota and, are playing as the defending champs for the first time since season 10. And I know we'll get to the game a little bit more later, Mike, but it was a heck of a way to start the season and pretty surprising as well because the Aztecs looked even better than they did last season.
I was looking forward to this game. The minute I saw it on the schedule, it's going to be the opening game of the season. And what can I say other than Minnesota? They laid an egg for us coming out. The opening game is especially the way they looked in the playoffs against Mexico City the previous season. But no championship hangover from Mexico City at all. They came out, took control of the game, totally dominated.
Gunny in the chat says, it's always great to see Mike St. Green. What about me, Gunny? Man.
Oh, it's always good to see Gunny. I think I'm supposed to say hoorah or something like that Gunny likes me to say. Is it hoorah? I don't know. I'll get it mixed up.
Hoorah, right? Right?
Hoorah. Yeah, there you go. I think that's all the Marines out there.
All right. Well, we got it going, and we're ready to go here tonight. Got the new setup all situated, just getting used to all the controls and the buttons, but we start the week. The headliner this week actually comes from Lexington, Kentucky. The Lexington Miners hosted the Baltimore Vultures, and this is how it went. We start off 2 minutes into the ball game, Baltimore kicking it away, and Gabriel Manning's at it again. It only took him 2 minutes, Mike, before he's got a return touchdown to his name in season 24.
Damn, the only other punt returner, kick returner that's more dangerous than another guy that I know.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a moment. Here's Johnny Kim, the second quarterback now in Baltimore. Remember all those quarterback sneaks where Jack Wigmore was getting hurt? Not anymore. Jack Wigmore in the red zone on the next trip, fires it over to Cameron Shaw. And this was the story of the game. Lexington's defense, special teams keeping him in it.
Yeah, this is two huge plays for Lexington. Quick change plays, the punt return, and then Cameron Shaw with the quick pick six and put Lexington up.
Jack Wigmore this time in the red zone connects with Ivory Irvin, and Baltimore would tie the game at 14 late in the first half. The Vultures are back. Lexington got a little bit of the turnover bug in the second half. Kenny Slider on a deflected pass. Elijah Warfield, what a play. And then after Lexington's defense gets a stop, Kenny Slider slid too late, lost the ball on his way down, and Baltimore recovers yet again. But the red zone defense from Lexington steps up. David Ware with the interception right on the end zone and at the goal line at the end of the third quarter. David Anderson on third down and goal as Baltimore tried to take a 3-point lead. He is stuffed. No GP Wells anymore. Lexington 1 of 8 on third down before that conversion, down 3. 4.5 minutes to go. They trail, and then Phoenix Jones gets going, Mike.
Yeah, this is a huge play at this time in the game, Cam. And Phoenix Jones, he came up big at a big time in this ball game when Lexington needed him the most.
Slider off his back foot. That's Alex West, Wiedemann Weep. 21-17. Lexington takes the lead. And then Wigmore on fourth down cannot get the conversion. Wow. Lexington with the win over Baltimore, 21-17. It was their first win over the Vultures in their franchise history. A big-time win, especially considering that Baltimore last season in Week 1 beat Canton in overtime, ironically, on a punt return, right? So a brilliant win for Lexington. We've talked, it seems like for years, Mike, about how the Miners win all the games they're supposed to, but they can't ever get a signature win, and right away in Week 1 they already have one.
Yeah, this was a huge win for them to put a notch in their belt, so to speak. The defense really stepped up at big times in this game when it looked like the Vultures had opportunities to go ahead and kind of put a stranglehold on the game. They made big plays on defense, and then not to mention the big kick return for Gabriel Manning. I'm sorry, Daniel Manning. I'm thinking about a safety from the NFL. But yeah, Gabriel Manning does the things that he typically does every season. And it was just kind of weird from the Baltimore side to see them not really cash things in as we accustomed to seeing them do for the most part, as we saw them down in the red zone a couple of times, couple of turnovers. We saw them not, convert a 4th down late in the game that we were kind of accustomed to seeing them come back and make the plays and win in the game like that. But like as I mentioned, kudos to the Lexington Miners. They stepped up big in a big time to get a good opening weekend victory.
I think it was Robert Brady in the chat that at one point said, "Come on, Baltimore, stop playing with your food." It kind of did feel like that's a game that Baltimore always wins, and then all of a sudden they looked up at the clock with zeros on it, and they didn't win. And I think it was kind of surprising because they, in the box score, really hammered Lexington. They moved the ball up and down the field pretty good, but credit to that Lexington red zone defense, man. They really came up in the clutch to take out Baltimore.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As you said, we're used to seeing, Baltimore take advantage and win those games. But, when you get that much yardage in a game, you can say, okay, we can write that off as an anomaly. Maybe that, that's just one of those things that happened in this particular ball game. And I know if any team is not panicking right now about a opening week loss, it's going to be the Baltimore Vultures.
But not only could that help the strength of victory for Lexington, but it's also a divisional win now because Lexington is the newest team in the Northern Division. So a 1-0 division start never hurt anybody. Well, Mike, I didn't think we'd be 6 minutes into our show in Week 1 with all the games done talking about Oklahoma City and Queen City. But here we are, because this game might have been the best game that you didn't watch this weekend. Here we go. From Buffalo, Queen City with a new look, and Michael Brown escaping pressure here, finding Joe Beasley, breaks a tackle, and he's out of there. What a way to start for the Corsairs. Joe Beastly is the nickname that he was given during the broadcast. He makes the play. Then Colin Pierce out of retirement for Oklahoma City finds out of retirement Stephen McMichaels, and Oklahoma City ties the game 7-7. Let's fast forward to the first play of the second half. We're tied at 17. Michael Brown fires. I don't know where he's going with that one, but that pass is picked off by a Rahman into the end zone for the score. Touchdown. The Rahmans are back in the house, 24-17 Renegades. Then on the next series, Michael Brown picked off Sabo Kanan. Oklahoma City was rocking and rolling at this point in the football game. As Kanan gets up and celebrates, Oklahoma City would score a touchdown on that drive. They lead 31-17, but the Corsairs did not quit. Michael Brown into the end zone. Adrian Ellis with the touchdown made it 31-24. Still late in the third. Next possession for the Corsairs. It is Michael Brown to James Matthew Jr. They just kept making big play after big play, Mike.
Yeah, Cam, Michael Brown is probably the pure definition of a gunslinger, especially we're using this game as an example. A couple of interceptions, and then but came back strong, had a big game with big completions all game long, actually.
Later in the drive, Brown finds Joe Beasley again for the score, a standout in Week 1, and just like that, Queen City has tied the game at 31. This is 3rd and 16, Mike. Winners get off the field here, and Oklahoma City couldn't do it on this night. Joe Beasley all the way up to the 45-yard line, and the drive would continue for Queen City. Down inside the 10. Handoff You bet. Touchdown, Corsairs. They take a 38-31 advantage. Oklahoma City on their last gasp attempt. Pierce is picked off. Justin Reside, who hung with the team through an 0-12 season, makes it happen and gets the win for his club. Queen City wins their first game in 2 seasons after going 0-12 last season. They beat the Renegades 38-31. So much to talk about here, Mike. Where do you want to start?
Let's just start with the combination of Michael Brown and Joe Beasley. That may be the birth of a new combination that we're going to be seeing all season long. Both players had big games, and Joe Beasley was incredible in this game, over 200 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and right when it looked like Queen City, they were going to, probably lose this game. They were down 14 about, midway through late in the third quarter, actually. And they came back and did a great job of coming back and winning this game.
Oklahoma City, with by far the smallest roster in the league, goes on the road, scores 31 points. People will be quick to tell you, well, it was Queen City, right? Well, we'll get to Carolina and Denver here in a little while, Mike, but I mean, Carolina went on the road and they didn't put up 31 points.
Right.
That was a rare feat, especially because their defense they got the 1 touchdown, right? But not a lot of offenses scored over 24 points in week 1 of the SFL. So considering that, I think Oklahoma City's probably got to feel pretty optimistic about things. They moved their very small list of weaponry around the field pretty nicely.
The thing is, Cam, if you put up 31 points against any defense in this league, you're doing something right. I mean, either you, as you mentioned, you're putting your guys in the right place at the right time to make big plays, and they did a good job of that, no matter who the opponent was, and they definitely have something to look forward to and possibly build off of going into week 2.
If you're in that Queen City locker room, Mike, are you thinking, wow, we got to win, everything is we're turning this thing around, everything is good now? Or are you thinking we just beat a team that has 0 expectations this season because on a 14-point comeback at home? What's your mentality if you're on that squad right now?
If you're Queen City, and I think if you're approaching it from the Queen City mindset, you're thinking, hey, that's a major accomplishment for us. New team, new ownership, new look. No matter who we got the win against, we went 0-12 last season. So at this point, any win is good. There's no way you could look at a win and saying, okay, well, right now we're in the same division with Baltimore, and at least we're ahead of them right now. So there's no way you could look at that win and say, it was Oklahoma City. We should be, ashamed for going down to the wire with them. I think you should be proud of that win, and especially after coming off of a 0-12 season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think, I think for Queen City, it's one step at a time, and this was one positive step. So from a game that was surprising to many, let's go to a game that only a director on cocaine could think up. Pittsburgh hosting the DC Dragons. This one was absolutely bonkers. We picked this up with Shabazz Synergy getting it to Lauren Percoco. She coughs up the football in a scoreless game in the first quarter. DC was driving, and everything up to that point was pretty normal. Percoco had fumbled earlier on the drive, but it was overturned. This one was not overturned. So Pittsburgh's going to take over as you see Corey Menner stripping that ball away. So 3 plays later, Pittsburgh's only gone 1 yard, and they hand it off to BB Blitz, and he coughs it up, and DC gets it right back where they lost the football at the 4-yard line. Are you kidding me? Kevin Say would punch it in for DC to go up 7-0. It was just that type of game in this one. Say with the score, DC takes the lead, and then Shabazz Synergy takes up the top off the defense, Mike, and this is what they were missing last season.
Yeah, they were definitely missing, receivers in this actual wideouts making big plays, and we see a big play right there to get them on the board.
Ace Fennick finally getting going. The new quarterback in Pittsburgh finds Ben Harrison, who gets all the way down inside the 2-yard line, and Pittsburgh would punch it in. Chuck Steller on the last play of the first half gets popped, and the ball falls right into the hands of the defender for the score. Touchdown Pittsburgh. It's 17-14. These are the type of shenanigans that we are talking about. BB Blitz gives Pittsburgh their first lead of the game after the Todd Rigsby fumble 6. 21-17, Pittsburgh takes the lead. Shabazz Synergy rolling to his right, finding Connor Weston, the former Pittsburgh Riverhog. He turned it on late.
Yeah, you know, Connor Weston wanted to come through and make some big plays in this game, Cam, and we saw him come through with a huge catch right there.
And he'd have another. Synergy out of the shotgun finds Connor Weston right over the top of the defense. DC takes a 24-21 lead, now up 27-21. Keith Wheeler, the stiff arm of fury, into the end zone for the score. Pittsburgh retakes the lead 28-27. But of course, as things start, they also finish. Lauren Percoco with the touchdown to make it 33-28, and DC gets the victory. So she started the game with a couple of fumbles. She ends the game with a game-winning score, and DC gets a dramatic win, 33-28, in quite possibly the best game of Week 1 in this game. Ace Fenech was sacked 7 times. There were 9 total turnovers, and 5 of them were fumbles. Those are fumbles lost, not all of the fumbles in the game. There were more than 5 fumbles in that game, but wow, what a wild one in DC. Fortunate to come out with a win.
Definitely fortunate to come out with a win, Cam. And as you mentioned, this game had a little bit of everything. You will not see another game like that. I can pretty much guarantee you won't see another game with turnovers and sacks and I mean, it was a wild game to watch. Very entertaining, but you won't see another game like that all season long, I would suspect.
Now, Pittsburgh, coming off a 2-10 season, they made a lot of adjustments in the offseason, one being Ace Fenech, who got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but did find his footing there with Pittsburgh down the stretch in that game. How did you feel like the Riverhogs looked in another Northern Division battle?
Houston, we played Pittsburgh in the off season right before the season of scrimmage, and they looked impressive in that scrimmage, and that them being competitive as they were in this game against DC, it did not surprise me. And after seeing them in the preseason. Now, on the other hand, with comparing them with Queen City, for instance, I think Pittsburgh, they're definitely disappointed. I don't think they're feeling good about where we hung and we competed and we almost won. I think Pittsburgh, they went out in the offseason with the intent of turning things totally around and winning games and making the playoffs. So I think they're going to encouraged by the performance itself, but they're disappointed in the outcome. I think they really wanted to put a W on the board coming out.
I think the silver lining through all those mistakes, they only lost the game by 5. And I know Weston and Percoco each had a touchdown, but both of them were pretty bottled up. Neither one of them had a dominant performance, and so that I think that bodes well for Pittsburgh's defense. But that was a ridiculous game that DC was able to come away with. So now that we're 3 games in here on the show, we got about 40 minutes to kick off with Charleston and Indianapolis. We have to go to the South Division for a little while because the South Division, which also now includes Albuquerque, who will play later tonight against Sin City, the South was on a tear this week, and they're off to a great start. Let's start in Houston, where DR Sim is now your RB2 in the Headhunters backfield. He gets a touchdown. K-Magic with a ridiculous interception here, and Magic going all the way to the house. Who is that chasing K-Magic down the field? It's the Thunder. Oh, you missed the tackle. Thank goodness your teammate was there as Magic gets him all the way down, but Chicago only able to kick a field goal. Then Derek Majors welcoming a newborn into the fold. Looks like he's got a game-tying touchdown, but Mikey stepped out of bounds. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, Cam, when this happened in live action, I did not see him step out, but fortunately he did, and Houston were able to keep the lead.
The Headhunters defense stepped up. Blake Prine, who got hurt earlier in the game, comes back in and gets the interception with 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. Then John Lakeman, who threw a couple of picks but had a lot of great throws too, slides for the first down. Everybody in the run game had it going on. And then Josh Slapp finishes it off. Houston wins 20-3 over Chicago. Bossier City and Nashville. Look at Johnny Pickler. Welcome to the Steamers. Shaking off a sack and getting the first down. Then Pickler would find Garrison Blue for the 31-yard touchdown. Rolls right, rolls left, And blue finds its way into the end zone. Bossier City's up 7-0 now, 10-6. Rob Noel, maybe the surprise player of the week, over 100 yards rushing. And that touchdown, 17-6. Bossier City up 11. Nashville would not quit. Switch thumper Chris Arthur into the end zone, makes it 17-13 with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Then the handoff to Rob Noel and a 17-16 ball game. Nashville desperate to get off the field, and they couldn't. That was the difference with Bossier City in this one. Last season, they didn't have a run game. Now they've got Rob Noel, and they win that one 24-16 over Nashville, who finished 6-6 last season. A very impressive win on the road for Bossier City. We also had the blowout win for Mexico City over Minnesota on opening night. We had Fort Worth also taking down Los Angeles. Their defense was ridiculous in the opening of that new stadium in L.A. So the South is 4-0. Where should we begin here, Mike? Why don't we start with your Houston Headhunters and how you felt about that performance?
It was relatively dominating performance overall. The defense played extremely well. I think one of the more underrated signings of this offseason was Blake B. Craze. He had a big quarterback sack, if not two. I know he definitely had a sack and a quarterback pressure. Evans had a sack from that outside linebacker spot as well. So the defense, they were outstanding and pretty much shutting down the Chicago Warrior attack. I think they had only 4 first downs in this game, if I'm not mistaken. And the run game, the run game was incredible. Josh Slapp picked up where he left off last season, over 150 yards rushing. And the weirdest thing in the entire game, Cam, was seeing number 21 DR Sim coming out of the backfield. It's probably going to take me all season long before I get used to seeing that. But balanced attack, John Lakeman, the big pickup coming over from Charleston. Just a balanced offensive attack. He had a couple of interceptions, but other than that, Houston looked like a complete team and a complete win the other night.
Now, it wasn't in the highlight, but Mike Sangreen was about 25 yards away from a 4K23 era career high in receiving yards in that game. How did it feel? When was the last time, if ever, you were wide receiver 1, and how did it feel to be back in that role in this one?
Well, what's crazy is, Cam, I've never been in the wide receiver 1 role with any team that I have played on. I was, of course, a rookie with Jacksonville, wide receiver 3, and over in London, wide receiver 2 behind Vin Callion, and always been wide receiver 2 behind DR Sim in my time in Houston. But to be honest with you, I feel the pressure as my player, as a wide receiver 1 that needs to, step up and fill some huge shoes of DR Sim. But it felt good to get a couple of catches under my belt and help the team move the ball. And, we're just looking forward to seeing how the season's going to go, and hopefully we can continue.
Ben Callier is another name that came up this week because he looked like he had that connection with Johnny Pickler again. From back in those London days, and the Bossier City Steamers, they had a couple of impressive wins that really turned heads last year. The one on Monday night at Louisiana sticks out to me, but this one felt a little different. At Nashville, we know that Nashville's good, and they're probably an even improved roster from last season, but this was Bossier City controlling the game, not just hanging around and being in it, but controlling that game in Nashville. And if the Steamers are good this season, then the South is back, baby, because there's no weakness out there.
Yeah, and Johnny, I think a lot of people expected Bossier City to maybe not be as good. I don't know if this is a testament as to how good they will be, but they definitely, I think a lot of people didn't expect them to come out and win this ball game in particular. And talking about Johnny Pickler, first of all, we congratulated Derek Majors on his first on a kid being born. But Johnny, I think had nuptials over the past couple of weeks. So congratulations to him getting married. And another thing about Johnny, I think Johnny's trying to catch up with Anthony Wayo and Tiberius Bovine. Playing for the most teams in SFL history. I mean, the guy's on a new team every other season, it seems like. But
he's got a long way to go, and who knows? maybe he'll find a home here. It's already off to a great start as Bossier City gets the win. All right, let's. We got some super chats here. Gunny with his 10th Super Chat, 1775 Super Chat. Hoorah! Bossier City, 1775 birthday year. OFV, the Marine Corps. I'm not cool enough to know what OFV stands for, so Mike, you have any idea?
No, please don't ask me what it means.
But you're so cultured. $5 Super Chat from Sully. That type of performance will not be seen again from the Lycans. #New Moon. Yeah, let's get to that. So Fort Worth gets the win. Los Angeles moved the football, but the turnovers absolutely killed them, including 2 fumbles returned for touchdowns, one in which Sully was hit in the end zone, and all Fort Worth had to do was fall on it and get the score. It was a frustrating night for Los Angeles and sort of the start of, I don't want to say a new era, but a recharged energy around this team after they were on a 4-game losing streak to end last season.
Yeah, and LA, Cam, this is 4 or 5 seasons running now. I don't know why I feel like I'm so invested in what happens with LA, but
we cheer for the underdog here.
They frustrate me to no end every time I think they're going to turn the corner and be something more than what they have been in recent seasons. I'm thinking new uniforms, new stadium. Now these guys are going to come out fired up, ready to go and get a W, and they laid an egg. I'm sorry, they did not perform well, and but great job by Fort Worth and basically causing most of what happened to LA. But I'm always rooting for these guys, but they let me down. So hopefully they won't get in too big of a hole like we've seen them do in the past. But yeah, great performance by Fort Worth in this game.
Let's circle back to Minnesota, Mexico City, which we started the show with. Minnesota surprisingly unable to hang with Mexico City after losing to them in the overtime semifinal game. What did you think about Minnesota's performance? Is it just one of those games like the Vikings and Lions last night where it's just like, oh, they're not winning that game, right? Or is it something more?
I think it's just a bad matchup for Minnesota at this point. I think Mexico City has just figured things out with themselves, and after beating them in the playoffs last season, I just think they probably have something figured out with Minnesota. Obviously, I've always thought Minnesota is one of the better teams in the league. I just think this is a bad matchup for them. Opening week, still working out some kinks, and I think they'll be okay. As the season goes on.
Another blowout that we want to get to was kind of a stunner. Denver blanks Carolina 16-0, and talk about shaking off the rust. I mean, Carolina has that magical run. Ironically, they also had their season ended by Mexico City in the playoffs, just in the quarterfinals, not the semis. But I mean, they go to Denver, and Marcus Dunhill's debut is an egg. I mean, it was bad. There's no other way to say it. I mean, it just did not work out. He threw 5 completions to Denver and 9 to his own team. It was rough out there, and Denver gets the first shutout in franchise history. Bailey O'Shaughnessy got hurt, so we got to see a lot of Dwayne Salmons. He ran well. We'll get to see Chris Grant Jr. Later tonight with Indianapolis as that Louisiana backfield was split up. But Denver did some good things. Parker Thomas, a couple interceptions, but they were never able to really pull away. But yeah, Carolina, I'm sure it's just week 1 stuff, Mike, but that did not feel right.
Yeah, it was not great, Cam. As you mentioned, Marcus Dunhill had a terrible game. There's no other way to describe it. What really kind of surprised me in this game that the running game didn't get going at all for Carolina either. You mentioned blowout, but you hear 16-0, like, oh, Cam, is that a blowout? Really?
It felt like they only had 7 first downs.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the way that the game was going, I think we can call it a blowout. And I was watching this game, and then because Bailey O'Shaughnessy was running well, I think a lot of things changed, at least far as a lot of the momentum offensively that Denver had once Bailey O'Shaughnessy was injured. Because I think they were on their way to having a scoreboard blowout at that point, because Carolina, they were doing absolutely nothing offensively, and I think Denver probably would have put up a lot more points if O'Shaughnessy was able to stay in that ball game.
Well, Denver's got to feel pretty good no matter what happened in that ball game. A shutout is not difficult. And Denver's been around a long time, and they've won 2 titles. The fact that they haven't ever shut anybody out is pretty pretty unbelievable. So big accomplishment for Denver. All right, one more game here to get to before we get to our Monday night action, and that is Florida and Atlanta. And we picked this up 3-3 in the second quarter, and Siege Falco is out of here. Second return touchdown to the show. That puts Atlanta up 10-3.
Yeah, the Siege Falco, I'm not accustomed to seeing him do this type of thing, Cam, but a big play right there to put Atlanta up early.
I'll raise you Siege Falco and give you Caleb Giffis. Giffis took over this game. Now 10-10 after that touchdown. Look at this catch. Wow, that is a tough, tight window there for Giffis. He does it again. How about one more time? Caleb Giffis, 20-10. Florida takes the lead over Atlanta, and Giffis had plenty to celebrate about on this day. 5.5 to go in the fourth. Atlanta's down 10. Bryant Dynasty throws an interception. Ryan Davidson picks it off at the 2-yard line and put a pin in that. And think about what this game could have been, because later on in the fourth quarter, Bryant Dynasty hits Fox Highwind with a minute to go to make it 20-17. But Atlanta ran out of time. What would have happened if they would have gotten that touchdown on the previous drive? Atlanta could have won that game, but the interception plagued them. They did hang around with Florida. They only lost by 3, but Atlanta, for getting outworked offensively for most of that game, I think they had an opportunity to steal one, and they weren't able to close the deal.
Well, first of all, who had Giffis on their bingo card with 2 touchdowns? No, I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card with him coming through with a big game as he did for Florida. And I was had a feeling going into this season, Florida may have a down season, but obviously it's a long way to go. But they acquitted themselves nicely the other night, and it kind of surprised me that they were able to beat Atlanta. Especially with Atlanta being at home. And as you mentioned, Atlanta could have won this ball game. Down the stretch, big interception there by Davidson. At that particular time, about 5 minutes left to go in the game. Atlanta were able to come back and make it close, but could not get the ball back after that touchdown, and they just happened to lose the game. I think Atlanta is going to be fine. I think the roster is solid. Fox Highwind, Falco in that receiving core, they're going to be just fine moving forward, I think.
This is kind of a hot take for me, Mike, but Caleb Giffis might be the most important piece on any team in week 1, because when you think about it, last season it just felt like Art Vandelay, razzle dazzle, and maybe a little bit of Ron Haynes, but that was it. Yeah. They didn't have any juice, any explosivity on offense, and then they lost Bobby Tarantino to Indianapolis, who we'll see later tonight. But Art Vandelay was a little quiet in this game. Bolesky was a little quiet. They tried to throw him out of the backfield, and it wasn't working, right? So Caleb Giffis was the spark plug of this offense, and Ron Cochran looked downfield a little bit more. It looked like it kind of opened things up and trusted his receivers a little bit more, and it was good to see because Florida at times last season, even in that semifinal against Canton, they just didn't look like they had anything offensively. So that was a nice bounce back performance.
Yeah, they're going to need more weapons, Cam, to be, the Florida Storm team that we come to season in and season out in this league. And as you mentioned, no matter how they won last season, it just seemed laboring, let's just say, to see them win their games. They would win them very fundamentally, would not, as you mentioned, nothing exciting. But they just figured out a way to beat you and outscore you on the scoreboard and come up with W's. But it's a nice change up to see some big plays being made in that Florida offense.
I think Atlanta really needs to work on their 3rd and short offense. I feel like this was a problem against Florida last season. These 3rd and 1s, these 3rd and 3s, they're just not converting them enough, and it was really stalling some drives out for them. Missed opportunity for the Swarm, but they did hang in there 20-17. All right, before we get to your players, we had a lot of new uniforms this week. We had we had some new stadiums. Los Angeles. We'll get to see Sin City eventually, right, as a new stadium. But we had a lot of new this week. Any superlatives with what you saw visually around the league?
The Lycans, I really like the new stadium, in particular the look like 50-foot lichen that's outside of the stadium. That was pretty cool to
That's
see.
clever.
I don't know how they were able to do it, but great job with that. But who wore it? I'm gonna tell you one team that wore it best. That what honorable mention wore it best for me, and wasn't new, but it feels like I don't see it enough. And that was Houston. I really like the black with the gold. That when we wear that, I was kind of actually surprised to see it and was kind of happy to see it. But who wore it absolute best? Just new and fresh and kind of sleek. And I never thought I would mention this team and sleek in the same sentence. Or what? Queen City Corsairs. I really like the change up that they made. It's just a fresh look, and they looked better. They seemed like they played better, and a great look from Queen City. I think they wore it better than anybody this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Queen City looked really sharp out there, and they came to play. They got a win. Huge congrats to Queen City for for getting that goose egg off the board right away this season after an 0-12 campaign last season. All right, to your spectaculars of the week, Mike. What players were a big deal to you?
Have to give Josh Slapp some love. Over 160, I think 68 yards for him in the ball game Saturday night. But we're going to go back to Queen City for my main guy, and that was Joe Beasley. 217 yards, a couple of touchdown receptions. Really had a huge part in what Queen City were able to do and come back and beating Oklahoma City. So Joe Beasley, and Joe Beasley, as I think they were calling him, he's going to get my spectacular player of the week.
I know that this isn't my segment, but I got to give a special shout out. And look, they're going crazy with the Christmas trees in the chat too. It's Christmas time. Rob Noel. You think about this guy. About he was a fullback in San Diego. He was then he followed Mike O'Neill over to Indianapolis, and you would get these flashes of brilliance, right? He would have this game. We would come on this show and we'd be like, Rob Noel, 3 touchdowns and 100. Where'd that come from, right? And then he'd fade away, right? He'd have like 2 carries for 4 yards over the next 3 weeks, right? And you wouldn't hear much from Bossier City. I don't think when people saw that move from fullback to running back, and they've seen that move happen in the past and how long it takes, to get things moving and going. I don't think people thought that Bossier City's run game was going to be much of anything this season. And the fact that he came out and I think the most underrated stat in this league, Mike, is yards per carry among for a running back, because in this league, it's a pretty big deal, right? I mean, if you can get 4 yards a carry out of your back, you're moving the football and you're giving yourself a chance to win. And for Rob Noel in his first game to get over 4 yards of carry on the ground, it was surprising. On the road against a team that almost made the playoffs last season, felt like a playoff caliber team. It just goes to show you that truly anybody can beat anybody. And people sleeping on Bossier City, might have gotten a wake up call after this week. I know it's just one game. But a great start for the Steamers, and Rob Noel, super surprise.
Yeah, Cam, that's a good pull. I really should have mentioned him. I really meant to mention him earlier when the highlight was on. He was a huge reason why they won the ball game because Johnny Pickler is definitely a quarterback that likes to put the ball in the air, but a balanced running attack allows him to be more effective, and as you mentioned, 4 yards of carry and over 100 yards on the ball game. That makes him even more effective. And here's the thing, as you mentioned, people are not expecting a lot out of Bossier City. Johnny Pickler, Noel in the backfield, and they still have Dave Axis and Ben Callie as receivers. So it's a talented roster, at least offensively, that you can't just overlook this team.
So we got a doubleheader tonight. We start with Charleston and Indianapolis in about 20 minutes. Charles Doherty and I on that call. And, this is a big one for a lot of people in Indy. You might call it Charleston North, right? I mean, they got a lot of guys that used to be there. Robert Cherry is in his first game as an owner for this Indianapolis team. He used to play in Charleston. J.W. Hartshorn, resigned from his post in Charleston last season. He's now the offensive coordinator in Indy. It'll be interesting to see Casper Haddock, right? He was the head coach of that winless 0-12 Queen City team. Well, now he's got a full roster to work with. What are Casper Haddock's coaching chops? And then on the other side, you have Charleston starting Iman Kopech, who some would say outplayed Houston's John Lakeman down the stretch last season and kind of won that starting job for the Predators. And they have a lot of guys that are back as well, including now 5-time All-Star Doug Britton. So I think the expectation here tonight is that Charleston should take care of business. Indy is young. Rookie quarterback Ethan Flowers making his first career start. That's going to be exciting. But who knows? Maybe the Indy Ramblers can come out and surprise just like a lot of teams have in week one.
Yeah, it's tough to make, you come out a rookie quarterback and expecting them a whole lot from him. I'm not sure about Flowers' development down there in the minors, where he stands as far as his development goes and what to expect out of him from that standpoint coming in. Iman Kopech, as you mentioned, pretty much was taking the job, won the job with Charleston late last season, but it's a little different now. The reins are totally yours. You don't have anybody else to fall back on. So hey, he was a Houston draft pick actually a few seasons ago, but everything is squarely on your shoulders now, and your total responsibility falls on you. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially between the two quarterbacks tonight. But as you mentioned, Charleston, they're a little more settled. And with their roster and what to expect, coming into this season. Indianapolis are trying to, figure things out, new owner, new coaches, and things of that sort. I think I would lean slightly towards Charleston in this game, even though they're on the road. I just think the experience factor, overall roster experience, is going to be a factor in this game.
Now stay up late with us. The second game of our doubleheader, we head out west. Albuquerque hosts Sin City. You were commenting with me before the show, Mike, about the shocking who you got poll right now with Albuquerque surging in that one. Sin City, formerly the Canton Classics, have a new lease on life. Talon Steele, the new owner there, he's a convention staple. He's a great dude. Now heads things along with Adam Chance in Vegas as the Sin City Samurai play in their sort of first game as a franchise, but they're not an expansion team. They have a full roster back, including and most importantly Logan Lee, who has been probably the best player in the 4K23 era over the last 3 seasons, if you were just to compile it out. But Albuquerque was very tough at home last season. They were a playoff team. This is a big test for them. And we'll find out if Sin City got permanently exposed in that championship game against Mexico City or they hit their stride. Should be a very interesting matchup tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt, Cam. And look, there's no bigger Albuquerque honk that's not on the Albuquerque team than me. But, Albuquerque, they lost a few things off of the players off the roster from last season. And, even if they hadn't, I would have to look at this game, like I said, especially comparing to what who you got thinks is going to happen. It's very one-sided that who you got thinks that Albuquerque is going to win this game. I think 111 to 30 something that they, for Sin City. But I've seen Sin City's rosters pretty much the same roster, as they had in Canton, and I don't see it that way as most of the people around the SFL sees it. I think no matter what the city, I'm looking at the roster, I'm looking at the experience, I'm looking at Logan Lee, I'm looking at who's quarterback. I can't remember the quarterback off the top of my head. I'm drawing
talking
a blank
about
on
in Albuquerque?
In Sin City.
Oh, that's Scar Patterson.
Scar Patterson, I drew a blank on him. I'm looking at Scar Patterson. I'm looking at the rest of that roster. defensively, they're going to get after you as they typically always do. I just think Sin City is going to win this game. Obviously, I have plenty of love for Albuquerque, but I think that Sin City is going to continue to do what we saw them do over the last couple of seasons in Canton.
It should be an interesting night as we wrap up week number 1. Arizona, Washington, and Vancouver were on byes. We will see them next week, including Arizona and Washington kicking off things in the Washington Tridents home opener next Friday with Mike and Gerald after the Wilson SFL kickoff show. But for us, we've got about 13 minutes to kick off between Charleston and Indianapolis. We'll see you there shortly in at the Frigid Pit in Indianapolis, and then later on tonight, Sin City and Albuquerque, an SFL Monday Night Spectacular doubleheader, the first of 3 this season. Mike, any last words for the people?
No, it's great to be back, Cam. Great first week. Looking forward to both great ball games tonight and see how they're gonna turn out here tonight. I'm really looking forward to the nightcap tonight. But hey, man, great to be back with you for another season. Looking forward to having a great season 24.
For Mike St. Green, I'm Cameron Irvine. The Monday night of SFL action rolls on. This has been SFL This Week, and we'll see you next week.